Hi, my name is Emily, and today we are going to be doing a very fun, very open level vinyasa practice. So this practice is great for a beginner yogi. It's also great for someone who's advanced. This is just like an overall well-balanced practice that you can add throughout your week if you're also training for a race or just want to move your body. So go ahead and grab your mat and we'll get started. All right, so once you arrive on your mat, I want you to join me in an easy seat. So that can look like crisscross with me. This can look like legs extended out in front of you. That can look like butterfly pose. Whatever feels good for your lower body and your knees, I want you to take that position. For me, I really like having my legs crisscross, so I'll start here. We're going to start today's practice on our mat, so come to that seat of choice. From here, we're going to bring those fingertips spread wide, bring those arms down to the side, just like a starfish, and then inhale, our arms are going to come up to the sky, our gaze is going to look up, and maybe they come right back down on the exhale. Good, so inhale, arms come up, and then exhale right back down. Good, we'll do that one more time. Arms come all the way up to the sky. Big breath at the top. Now this time on our exhale, we're gonna drop down our right arm, lean over to the right hand side. Now you'll notice if you're mirroring me at home, I have my right arm down. However, you might be going the opposite direction, so just be mindful of that. There is no right or wrong way to go first. So maybe your gaze can be up at the top forearm or maybe down at your hand, whatever feels good for the space in your neck. Breathing here. Take another deep inhale. Come up to center, and then from here, drop the opposite arm down. So again, if you went the opposite way, just make sure to balance it out. Again, gaze at the top forearm or maybe down at the hand. Making sure to create that space in your ribs. Maybe your eyes are closed. Good, inhale brings us back up to center. Now from here, we're gonna set up for a seated twist. So yogi ears on. What we're gonna do is bring our left hand to the outer edge of the right knee. So what I'm gonna do is gonna turn around for you guys so you can kind of see what I am meaning. So this left hand comes to the outer edge of the right knee, and then I'm spinning behind. So that's kind of what we're doing. I'll come back facing this way. So we're rotating towards the side. Now this is where we can stay. This feels good in getting a really good stretch. However, if you want to go a little deeper into the pose, inhale, lengthen the spine, and then exhale, see if we can twist more down towards that side. Gaze can be down at your hand, maybe the back of the room, whatever feels comfortable with your neck. Then inhale, arms come up to the sky, big breath here. Cactus those arms for an exhale. Good, feel that stretch in the front of the body. Inhale back up to center. This time, seated twist opposite side, so right hand comes to left knee, then the hand comes behind. And again, I'll turn around just for a second so you can see my right hand is going to my left knee and my left hand is coming behind. So this is that little seated twist. And again, you can stay here in that little twist if that feels good. Option 2 is inhale, lengthen, and then exhale, twist a little bit more. Making sure to be aware of our breath, seeing if we're holding our breath in any positions. Good, one more inhale. Back up to center. We'll do one more cactus together. That felt really good. So cactus those arms, open that chest. Good, maybe the gaze lifts. Inhale a big breath, and then exhale, hands are coming right down in front of us. Little seated forward fold. And again, it doesn't matter if your legs are like this, whatever you chose. Bring your head, neck, and shoulders. Release them here. Good, one more big inhale. Hands come back up to center. Push into those palms, push the hands down. Meet me with hands and heart center. Good. Just gonna take a moment, maybe set an intention for our practice. Intentions could be just gratitude for showing up and taking this time for yourself. It could be the intention of being more mindful of connecting with your breath. Whatever that intention or that reason for showing up on your mat, I encourage you just to think about it today. Bring it to the forefront of your mind. We'll seal that intention in with a nice big inhale through our nose. And then exhale, just let something go. Good. From here, we're going to come onto our hands and knees, setting up for a cat and cow. So this is called tabletop pose. Tabletop pose, we set up with having our shoulders over our wrists and then our hips over our knees. So find that alignment with me. And then when you feel ready, we're going to drop the belly, lift the gaze. This is cow. So feel that stretch in that belly and then push through those palms around the spine for cat. That feels so good. Now, I always encourage when we do cat and cows is if there is one that feels really good, maybe you just hold it longer. You don't have to copy me exactly with how long I'm holding each pose. If one feels better just to hold it longer, by all means, this is your practice. I want to encourage you guys to do some organic movement. So if you hear that in a yoga practice, all that means is kind of tune into your body, see what feels good. Anything that feels like your body needs a stretch. For me, it's my wrists. I always like to turn my fingertips towards me, stretch them out a little bit. Knuckles are a great way to do this too. And then if you do something on one side, just encourage you to do it on the other, create that balance. So finish up whatever variation or organic movement you chose back in this tabletop position. From tabletop position, what we're going to do is bring our toes together, knees wide, come to a child's pose. Forehead can be down on the mat. Feeling that space in our chest. At any point in practice today, if I cue something that maybe doesn't feel right for your body, I want to encourage you to take a modification or another option that feels good. Or if there's something I'm not cueing and it's in your practice, I encourage you to do that as well. So this is your practice today. Deep breath in, exhale, let something go. Come back to that tabletop position. From here, tuck those toes under, lift our hips up. First, downward facing dog. Good. Pedal out those feet. Start by bending one knee at a time, embracing all the pops, all the cracks. It might feel good to inhale, kind of lift your heels off the ground, and then exhale, kind of sit them back. Good. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, sit back. One more time, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, sit back. Good. Now holding here for another second, take a look at your hands. See if you can kind of open pickle jars, opening them to the side just to kind of get those middle fingers towards the outer edges of the mat. See what space that creates in our inner elbow. Another breath in, another breath out. Good. Find stillness. We're going to walk to the top of the mat. So take your time getting there. You can always hop as well. When you arrive here, we're going to do an inhale, halfway lift. So we're bringing our hands to our shins, our thighs, just kind of creating this 90-degree angle with our body. Big breath in, and then exhale, forward fold. Good. We're going to stay here for ragdoll. So all that is bringing those legs a little more than hip distance apart. You can have a juicy bend in your knees if you want. Hands can come to our elbows, maybe sway side to side. You can shake your head yes, shake your head no. Maybe reverse that grip, swaying side to side. Good. Finding that stillness. Those feet can come right underneath those hips again. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Slight bend in the knees. We're coming all the way up to mountain pose. Hands can come to heart center. Finding a second just to ground ourselves. So maybe lift up those toes, bring those right back down. We're going to tuck those hips under, roll those shoulders back. Maybe bring our awareness back to that intention that we set at the beginning of our practice. Nice deep inhale. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, arms come up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms. We're going to step back to a plank pose. Now, options for plank pose. You have the option to stay here. Another option for plank pose is to come down to your knees. So find what feels good for your body and what's in your practice. So we're holding for a breath in plank. Now we're going to go through a chaturanga. So again, option one, we can kind of lower down to the mat from high plank. So that's your first option. Option two, if you're in this modified plank, inhale a big breath and then exhale, bring yourself down to the mat. Then from here, we have whatever back bend of choice you would like. I'm going to cue baby cobra first. So baby cobra is hugging these little, chicken wings towards your sides. Inhale, lift up your chest. This is a really good option. Option two would be inhale, lengthening, coming to an upward facing dog. And then from here, we are going to come from this pose back to a tabletop position, maybe even through high plank. Tuck those toes under, lift your hips up. Downward facing dog. Connecting with our breath here. Now from here, find stillness. We're going to walk, skip, or hop to the top of the mat. So yogi's choice. I'm going to hop. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. A slight bend in the knees. We're going to come all the way up. Big breath at the top. Good. And then from here, we're going to sit down to a chair pose. So for chair pose, we're just bending our knees as if we were sitting in a chair. We have our knees bent, our chest is kind of lifted. Hands can be overhead. I always like to bring my hands to heart center. This is just my personal favorite because I have a lot of shoulder tension. So this is always an option. And then for your spacing of your legs, if this feels more comfortable for you, you can always have your feet further apart. For me today, I'm going to have them closer together. So we're holding for chair. Imagine that the weight is all in your heels. So put all of that weight in the heels. See if you can lift those toes up a little bit. So hold for 3, 2, 1. Great job. Forward fold. Ha. Pedal out for just a second. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the palms, step back to plank. Now this is where the options come in. You have that option to lower down to the ground from high plank. And then take either an upward facing dog or cobra. So I'll kind of go back. So we have that option here. This is when you can come down to your knees, lower down to the mat, taking either a baby cobra, maybe an upward facing dog, yogi's choice. And then we'll all meet back in that downward facing dog. So that was our flow. Pedaling out our feet, connecting with our breath. From here, we're going to sit up for a warrior one. So what that looks like is the right foot's going to come forward between the hands. Back left foot is going to go at a 45-degree angle on the mat. I always like to start from the bottom, so find that foundation. Then from here, if you need to use your hand to push off your thigh, bring your arms up, sit into your pose. Now be mindful that the knee is not going too far over your ankle, and then the hips are going to be focused on rotating towards the front of your mat. Arms are up. Good, big breath in. Now I always like to do a little bit of movement in these poses. It kind of helps hold the pose longer, bring more fluidity to it. So from here, hands are up, big breath in. Go ahead and cactus those arms. Our body, the lower body, staying the same. We're going to inhale, lengthen the arms, lengthen the leg, then exhale, sit into the pose. Nice. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, sit. Good. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, sit and hold. Nice. Good job, you guys. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Good. Next, inhale, arms come up to the sky. Big breath in, and then exhale as if you're painting whatever's in front of you. Bring your hands down. Now here's your option. You have option one, just to step this foot back. Take your vinyasa. Another option is having this foot up. Maybe you extend it up to the sky. Keep it lifted and take your vinyasa. So again, the options is coming down to our knees. For the modified plank, lowering down, taking either upward facing dog or cobra. So finding whatever felt good to you on the first couple of vinyasas, and maybe one in the future might feel good to do a different variation. So kind of tune in and see what your practice needs. From here, the left foot's going to come forward between the hands, warrior one. So the back right foot is at that 45 degrees. Find your firm foundation before you arrive. If you have to use your leg, that's by all means, that's what it's there for. Arms come up, focuses these hips rotating towards the front of the mat. The back foot is at that 45 degree. Good, you guys, good. Inhale, arms up. Good, hold the pose. Now again, movement. So if you want to join me on that movement, go ahead and cactus those arms. Inhale, lengthen. Then exhale, sit into the pose. Nice. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, sit. One more time. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, sit and hold. Nice. One more inhale, brings our arms up. Exhale as if we are painting a wall in front of us. Bring our hand down. Step the left foot back. So again, option to come here, lower down, whether that's from your knees or from high plank, or option to keep that leg lifted, lower yourself down. Take your vinyasa. So connecting with your breath in downward facing dog. That can look like pulling at your feet, taking a deep breath in. Exhale, let something go. This time, right foot comes up for 3-point. Exhale, bring it through right between the hands, warrior 2. Back left foot comes to a parallel position against the back of your mat. So find that foundation in your legs, ensuring that the knee is not too far over the ankle, and then when you feel steady and grounded, arms can come out to a T. Nice. So warrior 2. Big breath in, exhale, sink to the pose. We are going to reverse our warrior, so this hand can come down the back of the leg, maybe even the small of the back. Lift our right arm up high. Nice side stretch here. Feels so good in the ribs. Inhale a big breath, and then exhale, we're going to come to, I'm going to cue a modified side angle, but I also will cue a extended. So modified is the elbow comes to the right knee. And then from here, we start opening up that chest towards the sky. So this is option 1. Option 2, you can play around if it's in your practice. Maybe your hand comes down to the ground. Maybe the fingertips touch. Maybe the hand touches. And then you always have the option to take a bind as well if that's within your practice. So finding whatever option that feels good for you. The hand can also come over the head. If you want a little bit more core practice, maybe that hand comes and we lift ourselves up. Good. Inhale, then exhale back to the pose. Good. One more deep inhale. Exhale, we roll our hands down, step our right foot back to meet the left. So again, this is our plank pose. So from here, you have those two options, whether that's coming down to your knees or staying up in this plank, lowering down to the mat, whatever way you would like. Taking either that cobra pose or an upward facing dog. And then when you feel ready, back to the downward facing dog. Pedal out our feet, connect with our breath. From here, the left foot comes up for 3-point. And then exhale, bring it through. This is warrior 2. Back foot comes to that parallel position. When you feel ready, start lifting yourself up, being mindful of the knee, not coming too far over the ankle. Hands can come out to a T. Inhale a big breath. Exhale, sink into the pose. Inhale a breath. On the exhale, we're going to reverse our warrior. So the left hand comes up, the back right hand can come behind the back, maybe down the leg. So we're feeling it in a little bit in this hip or the inner thigh, the side of the body. Inhale a breath, exhale. This is that modified side angle. So our elbow can, or this forearm, I guess, is coming down to our leg, opening up our chest towards the top of the room. Maybe even the front, so yogi's choice. And again, if the extended side angles in your practice, that hand can come down to the ground. Maybe the arms overhead. So breathing here. On that exhale, if you want that added challenge, maybe the hand comes up, lifts ourselves up, back to warrior 2. Inhale a breath, exhale, cartwheel those hands down. Again, option to always keep this leg lifted if you would like. I'm going to keep mine down today. Lowering down to the mat, whether that's from plank, from modified plank, taking either a cobra or upward facing dog. You guys look amazing. And then come back, downward facing dog. So we're in downward facing dog. We're going to move into the balance part of our practice, walking our hands to meet our feet. So yogi ears on, walking them back. When you arrive here, slight bend in the knees. Kind of hang out for another little rag doll. Let something go, sway side to side. Bringing those feet back under our hips. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Slight bend in the knees. We're coming all the way up. Big breath in. Then exhale, hands to heart center. Again, grounding ourselves before we start with some balance. Maybe you want to lift up those toes again. You want to tuck those hips under, roll those shoulders back. Connect with that intention. Big, big, big breath in. Exhale, let something go. Next, we're going to set up for a tree pose. So I'm starting with my right foot grounded. That way you can kind of see what's going on over here with my left leg. So right foot's grounded, tree pose variations. We have options. Option 1, ankle. Option 2, the calf. Option 3, the upper thigh. Just encourage you not to place it on your knee. So find the option that feels good. Breathe in and out. With yoga and balance pose, we always like to say find a drishti. So something you can look at, so kind of intent or steer your focus to. And then from here, when you feel steady and ready, hands can start to come up. Maybe you have some wind for your trees. Have your branches go side to side. Another really fun challenge is closing your eyes. So if that's within your practice and something you want to play around with, by all means, go for it. Finding stillness, hands come back to heart center. So yogi ears on. We're going to have this lifted leg come to a stork pose. So we have 2 options. Option 1, it can come down and kind of pivot. Option 2, wherever your leg is, you can kind of just release this leg and see if you can kind of bring it forward, flex the foot. Now, once you arrive in this pose, I want you to imagine that you're stepping on a box. You'll feel the core start to engage. So really lift from the core, lift that leg up. Hands can come to heart center. Big breath in, big breath out. Nice. We're going to extend our leg now, so just extend it. Now, if you have any tension in this hip flexor, lower that leg. It does not have to be super high. This is just a balance practice, and you see this doesn't matter the height, it's still challenging. So big breath in, then exhale, plant it down on the mat. Now, this is our foundation for a grounded warrior 3. So we're keeping our left foot down on the mat. I'm going to start by bringing my hands down to the mat. I'm keeping my back leg where it is because as I bring my hands down, I'm going to lift my back leg. Now this back leg, I'm going to flex the foot as if I'm trying to kick the wall behind me. I'm on my fingertips right here. So this is option 1. This is kind of a grounded warrior 3. Now from here, if you want to play around with ungrounding your warrior, you can maybe do some shoulder taps. This is a great option trying to build up to ungrounding your warrior. Or if warrior 3 is in your practice, maybe your hands come to heart center. Maybe your hands extend. Maybe you do airplane with your hands behind. Now I want you to focus wherever you're at, keeping those hips rotated towards the mat. Good, big breath in, big breath out. Now yogi ears on, this lifted leg is going to come up to a stork pose. Now again, we have options. If we need that leg to kind of grace the floor as we pendulum swing up to stork, by all means. Or if we're in this grounded or ungrounded warrior, I'm going to come down to grounded just an example. We keep it lifted, lift ourselves up. Nice. Now from here, I want us to play around. So that transition at first is kind of weird, but then once you get it, you're like, no, I want to keep trying. So kind of come in between both of these poses. See what feels good. Maybe you want to hold one longer. Maybe you just like playing around trying to keep that foot lifted. Coming back to stork. We all meet here. Nice. Flex that foot up. Extend one final time. Again, height does not matter. Plant that foot down. We're going to set up for a very rewarding pyramid stretch. So both toes are pointing towards the front of your mat. Hips are rotated forward. Arms come up to the sky. Big breath in. Then exhale, forward fold. Now, once you arrive in this pose, I want you to kind of check in with yourself. Does this feel like you're getting the stretch that you need? If you need a deeper stretch, maybe this left foot comes back. So it kind of has more distance between the feet. You'll feel it better in the hamstring. If this is a stretch that is not feeling like a good stretch, more like a painful stretch, then maybe we need to bring our feet closer together. So check in, play around with the distance between your legs, and see if you can release over your leg, releasing your head, neck, and shoulders, shaking your head yes, shaking your head no. Nice. One more big breath in, big breath out. Now yogi ears on. We're going to walk our hands to the left side of the mat. So I'm walking over here. At this time, I'm coming to a wide leg forward fold. So I'm moving my legs further apart, just kind of hovering over the mat. Hands are on the ground, releasing any tension. Knees can be bent here. From here, we're going to set up for a goddess pose. So bring those heels in, toes out. Now, yogi ears on. I want you to bring your hands to your knees. Keep your head lower or lowered as we slowly roll ourselves up. We don't want to roll up too fast. Good. When you arise, stretch up for star pose, and then exhale, sit into goddess. Now in goddess, I want to encourage you to maybe tuck those hips under. See if we can push those knees out towards the pinky toes. Nice lifted chest. Hands can be at heart center. If you like that option of the hands coming to cactus, this is a great option. Now from here, added challenge, we can stay holding this pose. Option 2, if you want, we can inhale, lengthen. So just an inch coming up, and then exhale, lower. So inhale, lift, exhale, lower. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower. Good, hold. Inhale up to star. Exhale, forward fold. Good, releasing our head, neck, and shoulders. Walking our hands to the top of the mat. So this is your option for this right foot to come back to meet the left for that plank pose. If you want to keep it lifted, keep it lifted. Go ahead and take your vinyasa, lowering down to the mat. Taking either a cobra pose or upward facing dog, and then when you feel ready, meet me downward facing dog. Connecting with our breath. So walking our hands to the back of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Slight bend in the knees, we're coming all the way up. Good, hand comes to heart center. Connect, breathe. We're going to be setting up for the opposite side this time. So this time, grounding the left foot into the mat. Right foot's going to come, so the heel can come to the ankle. You have that calf or the upper thigh. So yogi's choice. Again, just not on the knee. Find your grounding. Maybe that dristi that we talked about. When you feel ready and strong, maybe you start playing around with lifting your arms. Maybe you sway them side to side. Maybe you close your eyes. Finding stillness, hands come back to heart center. Deep breath in. Exhale, let it go. Now we have this option, this lifted leg, the tree pose leg is going to come forward to stork. So we can either keep it lifted or rotate it forward. We can also let it pivot on the ground with our toe, and then when we feel ready to lift it up. So yogi's choice. Flex that foot, engage that core. It always helps me to kind of push into my palms. Inhale a big breath. Exhale, let it out. Extend that leg. Again, height does not matter. If you have any tension in this hip flexor, maybe that's a sign to go a little lower. Inhale a breath, exhale, plant it down. This is that grounded warrior 3. So first, I'm going to start by bringing my hands down to the mat. At the same time, my back left leg is going to lift. I'm going to flex that foot like I'm kicking something behind me. Now, this is a great option. This is a great place to stay. If you like the options of the shoulder taps because you want to come to an ungrounded warrior and that's something you're working on in your practice, this is something you can do. If ungrounding your warrior is in your practice, by all means take that. We had those options of the hands extending in front of you, behind you, just focusing on that hip staying down towards the mat. Now we got that big challenge here. This lifted leg, when you feel ready, is going to come up. Maybe it touches, maybe it doesn't. Flex that foot first torque. Oh, wow. Now this is the play time. Maybe you play around with that transition between the two. Maybe you really like just holding one, and that's fine. Take whatever is in your practice. And again, maybe that you're advanced yogi and perhaps you want to throw in another balance move that you've been working on. It's a great option. Whatever feels good. I'll do this one more time and then meet me back in that stork. Big breath in, exhale, extend. Again, height does not matter. Inhale a breath, exhale, plant it down. Great job. Pyramid pose this time, opposite side. So both feet are pointed towards the front of your mat. When you feel ready, arms come up. Then exhale, forward fold. Bringing awareness. If this stretch feels perfect, stay. If you feel like you need to enhance this stretch a little bit more, maybe this foot comes back. Or maybe this stretch is not sitting right, and perhaps we should play around with bringing that right foot forward. So find the spacing that feels good. Again, inhale, exhale, let everything go. Shake your head, yes. Shake your head, no. One more big breath in. The exhale, we're going to rotate towards the right side of the mat. So from here to this wide leg forward fold. Now I'm going to turn around. That way you can kind of see our next practice, but you guys are facing the other way. So we're in this wide leg forward fold. From here, those toes come out, pointing to the corners of your mat. Heels are coming in, slight bend of the knees. Push into the palms. Round yourself up. Good. Hands come up to a star. Then exhale, sit. Nice. So I'm just facing you guys. That way my back is not to you, but you're going to be facing towards the right side of your mat. Now here in Goddess, we have the option. Make sure our alignment is good. So push those knees out if we can. And your height here does not matter. It feels kind of whatever you are open with your hips. But our options are, so stay here in Goddess. Maybe this time around, you want to play around with lifting a heel. Yeah. Kind of fun, get into those calves. So we can kind of play around here, lifting at your own pace, or maybe you're holding here. This is your practice. Feel or take what feels good. So we'll do this for 4, 3, 2, now 1, added challenge. Perhaps we lift both heels. Good. Hold for 1, 2, and 3. Good. Release. Forward fold. Release. Let something go. It might feel good to take a Skandasana. So Skandasana is just sitting in to your leg. This other leg extends depending on what side you went to. Little inner thigh stretch. And option 2, it can be up here. Whatever is the space is available for your body. So walk over to the other side. Breathe. Now come back to that forward fold. Now I'm going to turn around now since we'll be facing the same direction. So we're in this forward fold, walking our hands towards the front of the mat. This time left foot comes back to meet the right. Now option here to take your vinyasa. This is the last one of our practice today. So lower down to the mat, taking your either upward facing dog or cobra. Then meet me in that downward facing dog. From here, we're going to roll out to a plank pose. So in plank pose, really want to push the floor away, put the weight in that pointer finger and that thumb to protect the wrist. Now, we're going to be lowering down to the mat. If you want to come down to your knees, you can. If you want to stay in a plank and kind of slowly lower, yogi's choice. When you arrive here, we're going to set up for a locust pose. Hands are going to come down by our side. We're going to push all of our pressure into our tops of our feet, our thigh bones. As we inhale, we're going to lift our chest, lift our arms. Now I want you to keep your neck right in front of you, so kind of focusing about a couple inches in front of your mat. Your arms are lifted, palms are face down. Really use your back. Lift yourself up. Big breath in. Big breath out. Bring one ear down to the mat. Kind of rest. Maybe windshield wiper those legs side to side. We're going to set up for one more locust. So those feet come down to the mat. Palms are down by your sides. Bring your neck looking towards the front of your mat. When you feel ready, take an inhale, lift yourself up. Breathing. When we do a lot of core work, it's really important to kind of also strengthen the back muscles. So this is a great pose for that. One more inhale. Exhale, drop the ear, opposite ear down. Windshield wiper those legs side to side. Now from here, hands come underneath our shoulders. Push ourselves up, tabletop position. Now in tabletop position, what I want us to do is set up for a balancing table. So what I like to do, and I think is easier, is bring my knees together first and our hands are kind of underneath our shoulders. From here, I'm going to extend my right foot back, flex my foot down. So this is where I can stay. Option 2, and go ahead and bring the left arm forward. Option 3, extend both directions and then bring the elbow to the knee. So choose what option that feels good for you. We'll be holding here for 4, 3, 2, 1. Maybe we lift 1 inch higher. And then exhale, drop the hand down. This right foot's going to come past the left. So around that left leg, maybe our gaze lifts. Nice, bring it back. That leg can come back behind you, kind of a little calf stretch. Wonderful. Now bring your knees in together. Come off those wrists for just a second. Shake it off. We'll set up for the opposite side. So hands come down to the mat. This time the left foot comes back. Flex the foot down. Now again, option, you can stay here. Maybe you bring that right arm up. Maybe you just hold. Maybe you like that option of extending both directions and then bringing the elbow to the knee. So find the option that feels good in your practice. We'll be here for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 1 inch higher. Good. Exhale, plant it down. Then from here, coming into a little foot stretch. So flex those feet. Those toes are going to come down. Start to make your way back on your feet. This is an intense foot stretch. Some people love it, some people don't. If you have any foot injuries, this might not be the practice for you, so maybe you can come just sit for a moment here, if that is available to you. Holding for 4, 3, 2, 1. A little tap it out. It's like a little rainstorm. From here, we're going to set up for a hip opener. So coming onto our seat, I want to set up for a figure 4 together. So for figure 4, we start by bringing maybe our left foot across to a little figure 4 position. Now, if this is already feeling a really awesome stretch for you, you can stay here. If you want to join me, maybe we come on our backs. Keep this leg across. Maybe our left arm comes through and that left elbow tries to open up a little bit. See if you can release and soften. Making awareness if there's any tension you might be holding in your jaw. Big breath in, big breath out. Now I want you to stay here, or maybe you're feeling like you want to join me with a shoelace stretch. So just kind of crisscrossing our legs. This is kind of like eagle legs. And then from here, we can grab our shin bones, bring our legs towards our body, towards our chest. Just gets into the hip a little bit deeper. One of my favorite poses lately. And you can always just be in that figure 4 as well. Or if there's another hip stretch that you love to do, this is your practice. You can take it. One more big breath in, big breath out. Unwind those legs if you join me in shoelace. Bring those knees into the chest. Maybe the head brings or comes and lifts too. Place those feet down. This time opposite leg. So right foot over. I started with my left so you could see me. So if you did the right first, no bigs. You can move on to the left side. Flex that foot. Maybe the arm comes through. This right elbow can kind of open up the hip a little bit. Releasing the neck on the mat. This is always where it seems that our minds start to drift. So if that's happening to you, just bring your awareness there. Your mind is doing its job. See if you can just shift that focus back to your breath. We can stay here in this really awesome stretch. If you want to join me, maybe you do the crisscross of those legs, shoelace pose, supine cow face. Hands can come to the shins, bring them into your chest. And again, if you have another hip opener in your practice, you have the freedom and the availability to do that now. If you're joining me in this shoelace pose, we'll take one more big breath in. And then exhale, unravel our legs, bring our knees into the chest. And then from here, hands come out to a T to the side. Big breath in, let your knees fall over to whatever side is calling you. I'm choosing my right today. Your gaze can be up at the top of the mat, maybe over towards your left arm. One more big breath in. Knees come towards the center of the mat, and then let them fall over to the opposite side. Again, gaze can be up at the ceiling or maybe at your opposite arm. Bring those knees back to center. Big squeeze, maybe the head comes up as well. Inhale a big breath and then exhale. We're going to set up for our final resting pose. So take up some space on your mat. Bring those legs wide, maybe those toes turn out. Arms can be maybe up top or maybe down by your sides. If you have props at home, you can always bring that bolster and place it on your hips if you like a little bit of grounding or maybe underneath those legs. I'm just going to choose to lay on my back right now. Now, before we do our Shavasana pose, I like to do 3 breaths together. The first one is an inhale and an exhale. The second one is going to be an inhale and a shh on the exhale. And the third one's going to be a big, super juicy sigh day, or a sigh that can kind of let everything go for this day or this month or this year. So we'll start with the first breath in, deep breath in. Exhale, just let something go. A second breath will be a shh on the exhale. So take some time, really fill up the lungs. Exhale. The third one is going to be a big sigh, maybe the biggest sigh you could have for your day, for this week, for this year. So really take some time, breathe in, exhale, sigh it out. Shavasana. Now, if you have the ability in this space to take some more time to lay here in your Shavasana, I encourage you to do so. You can just have this video end and then continue on with your space. If you would like to, I'm just going to close out our practice. So maybe take a nice big stretch overhead. Start wiggling those fingers and those toes. Bringing some gentle movement to our body. It might feel good to roll over on one side, maybe using your hands as a pillow. And then when you feel ready, gently push into those palms, lift yourself up. Meet me in that comfortable seat like we did at the beginning of our practice. I want to thank you guys for sharing your practices with me. We can bring our hands to heart center. I hope that you were able to take away something from this practice. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed your practice, and I look forward to seeing you on your mat again soon.